I'm going to read off the plot that I typed up. I'm going to put on my reading glasses real quick. Don't judge me. Okay, this movie stars Samuel L. Jackson from Snakes on a Plane, and the Star Wars prequels, Pulp Fiction, Jurassic Park, and a bunch of other stuff. Now, and then when it also has Patrick Wilson, who I've never seen before. Well, I've seen him before, but I just don't know he's been in. And Kerry Washington from the Fantastic Four films. She played the blind lady. Look it up. Now, this is about a happy couple who's a newlywed couple, Patrick Wilson and Kerry Washington, who move into a terrace when a neighbor, played by Samuel L. Jackson, a cop, doesn't like the fact that they're interracial and decides to terrorize them, which leads to much suspense and action throughout the rest of the film. Now, before I start this review, I just want to say these are not my reading glasses, and I actually didn't have any papers. I was just showing off some dorky glasses. Lakeview Terrace. Alright, well, Lakeview Terrace now. Like I said, it stars Kerry Washington, Patrick Wilson, Samuel L. Jackson. They move in. Samuel L. Jackson comes in, terrorizes them, doesn't like the fact that it's a black man, a black woman with a white male. Now, this movie hasn't really gotten very well received by critics. They say it really lost it in the third act. I'm sorry, but I gotta disagree. I thought this was fantastic stuff. This is one of my top 10 to 15 favorite films this year. I really enjoyed the heck out of this. I thought, well, I'm just gonna start out. The beginning, it starts out, you really get the feel of Samuel L. Jackson being, setting all this up. Setting up this plan to drive these people out. And then there's this whole subplot, which I found great because it wasn't that distracting, of the fact that there's the California fires down by their Lakeview Terrace home, and so they have to protect themselves from two things, this neighbor and this fire. So basically, you know, it's very suspenseful. And then eventually it gets worse and worse and worse and worse, which leads to a very tense second act and a suspenseful, thrilling third act. Now, the good things about this movie are, alright, I'm going to catch flag for this, but if you saw this movie, Samuel L. Jackson gives such a good performance that I think he could get nominated for something, at least a Golden Globe. He was fantastic in this movie. He gives one of the best performances of the year by any actor. I loved him. Also, we had Kerry Washington, who was good. The acting was pretty good. Dialogue was pretty good. Like I said, Samuel L. Jackson is just great here. And this is a great role for him. And I'm happy to see him play a villain. And hopefully he can get one more possible Oscar nomination. I think the fact that the film isn't very liked by critics will hurt him, but his performance, it shouldn't matter because it's about performances. Based on his performance alone, I would say Oscar worthy. I know I'm going to catch flack for that, but I really think he was fantastic. Now, here, I just can't get over that. He was just amazing. If I had one problem with this performance, which you're probably saying, like, well, if you have a problem with it, why should he get an Oscar? Well, because I have a problem with everybody's performance. Except for maybe, like, Heath Ledger's The Joker. Even that, I had, like, one problem with. But, listen. Nothing is flawless. Alright, you can say, like, oh, this movie's flawless. When you watch movies, you are gonna see the tiniest flaws in them, okay? Even for a movie like The Dark Knight, or a movie like, I don't know, The Departed, or anything. There's gonna be a minor flaw. And if I had one problem with his performance, I felt like the thing with villains sometimes is that if they're so good at playing a bad guy, you like them. You know, you're like, all right, well, let's go. Let's kill this guy. And this time I didn't really feel that. But I think that's actually kind of compliment to his performance because they didn't try to go the cliched route. In this movie, there were so many times when I predicted stuff that didn't happen. It was the opposite of cliche. I was shocked by how there were so many things that were predictable in this film that turned out to be, well, unpredictable. I'm like there was there were some cliched moments, but nothing that happened that was exactly cliche. And Samuel L. Jackson, he's a force of nature in this film. I mean, every time you see his character, you want to run him over with your car. And at first I was realizing, I'm like, one problem I might have is how Kerry Washington and Patrick Wilson's characters might just seem stupid. I'm like, okay, couldn't you, oh wait, that is a good idea. That's what I was saying. Like, there's a time when I'm like, okay, if this guy's being such a jerk, then why don't you record what he's doing and report it to the police, even though he is the police? And then what does he do? He thinks of recording it. I'm like, alright, that's the way to go. So everything that happens in this movie is very human. Alright, there are no stupid people in this film. I think this is a great movie. I don't know why it's getting ripped. The third act, I thought, was really good. I thought the final confrontation was fantastic. It didn't turn into this big explosion film. It was just very suspenseful with the added pressure of the whole fire thing. So, overall, I think it's fantastic stuff. If the bad stuff, though, I think, really, it's not, like I said, there was a problem with his performance, and I think one thing is that Patrick Wilson, I liked him in this movie, but there was a part when, there was 5 minutes of the film where all he did was stare. He'd just go, and he didn't really do anything else, but that's a minor complaint at best. See this movie and see it with a crowd, because this is the best. I would honestly put this above Disturbia when it comes to thrillers. This is good stuff. This is great stuff right here. I really enjoyed myself. This is a fun time. I'm not a huge fan of thrillers. God dang it, it's be in the way. I'm not a huge fan of thrillers. I'm not a huge fan of horror movies unless they're well made. And this film was a well made movie. So you know what? If you're gonna see this movie, see it in a theater with packed people, because I bet they'll be just as suspensed. They'll be just as wondering what's gonna happen as you will. So overall, I give Lakeview Terrace a 9.5 out of 10. Very, 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 very good film. Great film, to be honest. I enjoyed the heck out of myself. Please subscribe and please check out this movie. I can almost guarantee you will not regret it. I don't know why the critics aren't liking it. I love the ending to this movie too. The way it ends. I didn't want them to be 3 years later and all happy, sitting at a picnic, enjoying themselves. The way it ended, the tightness of it was perfect. 9.5 out of 10. Check this movie out. This is a thrill ride. It's one of the best films of the year.